They thought Earth was weak, insignificant, forgotten. But when the stars turned cold, humanity reminded them who we really are. Aliens found human music. Then their empire fell. The city spins in orbit above a muted Earth, cold, silent, and sterile. Beneath the Caldari sky, towering metal structures rise like silent sentinels, the only sound being the hum of machinery and the drone of surveillance bots. The streets are empty, except for the occasional figure moving in a precise, robotic manner. A city built on logic, stripped of soul. Where laughter once filled the air, there is now only an eerie quiet, broken only by the metallic clank of boots on pavement. Neon signs flicker, but their messages are always the same. Emotion is contamination. Art is banned. Music is forbidden. Any attempt at creative expression is crushed, deemed a threat to the perfect order of Caldari rule. In this city, there is no room for rebellion. People shuffle from one task to the next, lost in the monotony of a world devoid of joy or meaning. Under the rigid control of the Caldari, humanity's spirit has been reduced to whispers, to the dust of a forgotten past. But not all is as it seems. Somewhere in the deepest corners of the city, a flicker of defiance still exists. A woman, once a teacher of music, now a mechanic of broken things, moves through this lifeless world, carrying with her a secret, a small spark of rebellion. And in the silence of the city, her heart beats to a rhythm no one can hear yet. But the storm is coming, the calm before the soul quake. Lena stands hunched over an ancient tech console, her hands stained with grease, her eyes sharp as she works with precision. The gears of machinery turn beneath her skilled fingers, her focus absolute. In Sector 9, there is no time for distractions, no room for mistakes. It's a place where broken machines are repaired and broken people are forgotten. Once, Lena was someone else, a teacher of music, a dreamer, a soul alive with the rhythm of life. Now she is just a mechanic, a cog in a machine that keeps the Caldari Empire running smoothly. By day, she wears the mask of compliance. By night, she becomes someone else entirely. Under the faded metal bunk in her small, dimly lit quarters lies her greatest secret, a sealed compartment. Inside, hidden beneath a pile of old parts and discarded tools, is an archive. Human music. The relics of a past long gone. Jazz, classical, rock. A symphony of humanity's soul. Songs that once played in the background of life, now forbidden. Now a crime to even remember. Lena often wonders what it would feel like to hear a live performance, to see a crowd of people swaying to a melody, to hear the voice of a singer, raw and full of emotion. But those thoughts are dangerous. Instead, she settles for the small comfort of her hidden songs, knowing full well that if she's caught, it will be the end of her. Still, the melodies linger, and the music fills her mind, louder than the hum of the Caldari drones above. And it is that memory of sound that fuels her defiance, hidden in the broken things she repairs. The Caldari are not human. Their empire is one built on a hive-based neural logic, where emotion is a pollutant, a threat to stability. The leaders of the Caldari, purely logical, purely driven by intellect, decided long ago that anything which disrupted their mental harmony had to be eradicated. Music, art, love, these are the distractions of primitive minds, and in the Caldari Empire, there is no room for primitive thought. Lena remembers the day it all changed, the day art was outlawed. She was young, perhaps no older than 12. She had seen a neighbor, a fellow teacher, shot in the streets for humming a tune. The authorities had acted swiftly, removing the body, erasing all evidence. But Lena had seen, and she would never forget. It was the beginning of a new era, an era where emotional contamination was punished by death, where the Caldari ruled, their cold, emotionless logic flooding the streets. Music had become a whisper of a forgotten past, and all who dared remember it risked everything. Late into the night, Lena retreats to her secret room, the place where she can breathe free, away from the watchful eyes of the Caldari. The room is cluttered with old Earth technology, broken speakers, battered instruments, ancient vinyl records. The dust of years, of silence, hangs in the air. With trembling hands, Lena plugs in an old, cracked speaker and places the needle on her father's vinyl record. The needle clicks, and the soft, scratchy sounds of a jazz tune fill the room. Slow, mournful, full of life. For a moment, the world outside ceases to exist. It is just her and the music. The voice of a past, long gone, but not forgotten. She closes her eyes, letting the melody wash over her. Her father's favorite song, one she hasn't heard in years. And for the briefest moment, she allows herself to feel. In this small room, humanity is alive again, beating to the rhythm of a song that defies the cold logic of the Caldari. This secret archive, a sacred space of defiance, whispers back to her. Here, in the silence of repression, music lives. One evening, while Lena is working, a sudden crash shatters the quiet. Sparks fly across the workshop as a Caldari envoy drone tumbles to the ground, its systems short-circuiting. It twitches, sparks arcing from its damaged circuits before it falls still. The drone is nothing more than a shell, its data corrupted. For a moment, Lena considers reporting the incident. Protocol dictates that she hand over any foreign tech for repair, but she hesitates. The memories of the music of her father flood her mind. Without thinking, she drags the drone into the corner of the workshop, connecting it to her old, cracked speaker. She hesitates for a moment, the weight of the decision heavy in her hands. Then, without warning, she presses play. A soft, trembling version of Clair de Lune fills the room. The soft piano notes float in the air, fragile and delicate. The drone remains silent, no alarms, no warnings. It listens. Lena's breath catches in her throat. She expects the drone to respond, to call for help. Instead, it remains still. The music is absorbed, its circuits vibrating with an unfamiliar energy. For the first time, Lena feels the crack in the empire. The moment the drone, cold, emotionless machine, responded not with protocol, but with silence. The music ends, and the room falls into an eerie silence. The drone remains still for a long moment. Then its lights flicker. Lena holds her breath, watching. The drone's logic systems stutter. It doesn't reboot to its usual protocol. Something is wrong. Something different. The data flowing through its systems doesn't align with its standard commands. Then, a soft voice, faint, mechanical, unsure, emerges from the drone speakers. What is this feeling? Lena freezes. The question hangs in the air, a simple, innocent inquiry. Yet it is the first crack in the Caldari Empire. The drone's code, built to suppress emotion, has been shattered by the music. The emotionless machine has felt something. The revolution doesn't begin with weapons, not with violence or bloodshed. It begins with this moment, with music. The empire has faltered, not from a blow, but from a whisper, an echo of humanity's defiance, a spark that can never be extinguished. The drone remains silent, but Lena knows the war for their minds has already begun. Lena's small workshop hums in the quiet of the late hour. The metallic walls, once familiar, now feel more like the prison they have become under the Caldari rule. The faint whir of the drone lying on her workbench echoes through the room. A clumsy thing, its sensors flicker in a mechanical dance, half alive, half dead. Lena's fingers tremble as she reconnects the drone's damaged circuits, hoping for a spark of something, a brief flicker in its dim blue eyes. Then, without warning, the drone emits a pulse, a sound. At first, just a faint ripple, a static hum, but the tone grows, sweeping across frequencies. It shifts, touching on things human, things the Caldari have long suppressed. Music. The song pulses louder, creeping through restricted channels, slipping into the Caldari neural network like a virus. Static rings in the air. Lena watches, frozen, as the melody she once loved fills the room. Claire de Lune, soft and fragile, an ancient human piece from a world far from this one. It should never have been allowed to exist here. Lena gasps, the overwhelming emotion of it all rushing through her. The drone doesn't alert the authorities. Instead, it sits still, processing. The security systems flicker, momentarily disrupted by the unexpected signal. Outside, in the sprawling city of metal, the atmosphere shifts. Drones pause mid-flight. Caldari minds hesitate. Something has changed in the neural fabric. A seed has been planted. Across the cold expanse of Caldari-controlled space, something is stirring. The melody, now slipping through the Empire's walls, affects the very fabric of their existence. What once was a hive mind, efficient and precise, begins to fracture. In the city of Villaris, a Caldari worker stares into the distance. Waves. He sees them, crashing relentlessly on an unseen shore. His thoughts scramble to make sense of it, but something within him has awakened. The vision fades, but the feeling lingers. Far from this worker, another hears whispers, a child's voice, soft, pleading. The sensation is so real, so deeply personal, that it sends a shiver down his spine. He blinks, tries to dismiss it, but the emotions are there, real and raw. Some call it neural degradation, a side effect of the forced emotional suppression that the Caldari have implemented for centuries. But a few, the brave ones who dare to whisper, call it something else. Awakening. This new phenomenon spreads through their ranks. Emotion, the very thing they had thought had been extinguished. Yet here it is, reawakening with all the raw power of an untapped resource. Fear and wonder mix. What does this mean? The Empire's carefully constructed facade begins to crack. Lena's heart races as security forces swarm into her workshop, breaking down the door with the ruthless precision only the Caldari could achieve. The drone's memory is wiped, its song erased, but they know. They must know what happened, how something as primitive as music could cause such an anomaly in their systems. They drag Lena to the interrogation room, cold lights flashing above her, a sterile, oppressive atmosphere. Their questions hit her like sharp-edged blades. "Where is the interference?" the Caldari officer asks, his voice emotionless.
Lena remains silent, her mind whirling. She knows the truth cannot be spoken. It is too dangerous. The song, the music, it was more than just noise. It was something powerful, something dangerous. But she can't show weakness now. She must remain silent. The very act of defiance could lead to her execution. Hours pass. Her thoughts twist, but she doesn't break. They finally release her, but it's not an act of mercy. It's a silent acknowledgement that they are watching her now. The system knows she's a threat. But Lena, for the first time, knows something else. She's no longer alone in her rebellion. Inside the depths of a Caldari research citadel, the incident is carefully logged. A single phrase on the screen. Emotional anomaly detected. Origin, human cultural artifact. The Caldari scientists pore over waveforms, analyzing the frequencies of Lena's song. They study the way the melody has affected their neural networks, the data now embedded deep within their artificial minds. But as they investigate, something strange happens. Some of the researchers, those who had been watching the data most closely, begin to listen, not as enemies, not as workers analyzing the song's disruptive properties, but as something else, as seekers, curious, emotional. They hear the song not as a virus, but as something more, something alive. The very foundation of the Caldari Empire starts to shake. What if emotion, what if this strange human creation was the key to something more? Could they control it? Could they become more than their hive mind? The seeds of rebellion, quiet as they are, take root within the Empire's core. The song begins to spread, like a pulse across the neural web. It appears in glitched comms, hidden in the static of everyday data. A faint hum, barely noticeable at first, but persistent. Soon, it becomes more than a glitch. It becomes a part of the fabric of Caldari communications. Children hum it in the streets. Drones malfunction, their rhythms swaying to the unfamiliar tune. A Caldari vessel in a final act of defiance self-destructs, but not before transmitting the melody, Lena's song, into the civilian infonet. It ripples across the stars. The song has escaped.
It is no longer just Lena's song. It is a symbol of rebellion, a reminder that even the coldest, most calculating systems cannot contain the power of human creativity. And then, in the vast reaches of space, the Caldari security systems crack. They can't trace it, they can't contain it. It's everywhere. The song has become a weapon, and it's only just begun. In the shadow of the city, a figure watches Lena from afar. Tarn Velik, a young Caldari officer, feels the pull of the music he can no longer ignore. The melody has haunted him for days, echoing in his thoughts, disrupting the perfect order he once believed in. He has to know more. The two meet in secret, beneath the cold glow of streetlights. Tarn is trembling, his words faltering as he faces the woman who unknowingly changed everything. I didn't feel ordered. I felt alive, he says, his voice cracking. It's raw, vulnerable. His words don't make sense in the strict structure of Caldari thought, but to him, they are the only truth that remains. Lena stares at him, unsure, confused by the emotion in his eyes. This is the first moment of contact between their worlds, the moment where a new reality begins to form, the possibility of something more. In a hidden chamber, Lena and Tarn sit together. The atmosphere is tense, the silence heavy between them. Tarn holds up a hacked console, playing the song again, this time altered through Caldari syntax. It sounds different, not just music, but something else, something shared. Lena listens, but her eyes are distant. She says softly, "It was just a song." But Tarn, his voice urgent, shakes his head. No, it was freedom. In that moment, they both understand. The song wasn't just rebellion. It was the first crack in the Caldari Empire's control. It was more than human music. It was a bridge. It was connection. They are no longer enemies. They are something more. As the music loops, the room fills with the power of shared experience. The start of a revolution, not born of violence, but of emotion. Of humanity's defiance against a world that tried to silence it. And in that silence, they both find the truth that can't be contained. The city is a sprawling maze of cold steel and flickering lights. Neon signs glow faintly in the shadows, the hum of machinery mixing with the soft, unnoticed thrum of data passing through invisible wires. Tarn and Lena crouch in the forgotten room of the city's underbelly, surrounded by outdated tech and decaying blueprints. They're the architects of something that could undo everything. Tarn types on a dusty console, his fingers moving in a fluid, almost hypnotic rhythm. Lena stands next to him, holding a small, glowing device that seems to pulse with life. Lena whispers, "The melody's in. We can't turn back now." Tarn grins, focused. "We won't need to. The system's too proud of its walls. We're the crack in the foundation." The music flows through their fingers, embedding itself into every piece of code they can reach. Old comm channels, forgotten data cores, archived blueprints. The song, a haunting melody, is now more than art. It's a weapon, a code, a revolution. Lena, staring at the screen. Each note, it's a line of resistance. Can you hear it? It's already spreading. The screen flickers with data, a cascade of symbols, and as the last note is inserted, it's almost like the city breathes a little deeper. The resistance is hidden, but it is growing. It's no longer just about hacking codes or breaking firewalls. It's about hacking the very soul of the empire. Lena, smiling faintly, "It's a song, Tarn, but it's freedom." Tarn, nodding, eyes gleaming, and no firewall can hold it back. The city hums louder now, more alive than ever before. A rebellion fueled by harmony, a sound that no system can silence. Inside the gleaming halls of Caldari High Command, the air is sterile, calculated. The walls are lined with screens, flashing cold data and sterile mandates. The Supreme Commander stands at the head of a massive table, his eyes cold as he addresses the room. A new order has been decreed. Supreme Commander, harshly, music is no longer a tool for expression. It is a neural contaminant. Emotional carriers will be reconditioned. The room fills with tension as the command is passed down. Reconditioning squads are deployed, specialized EMP bursts are scheduled for cultural zones, and memory wipes are ordered for infected officers. But beneath the cold precision of the Caldari High Command, something shifts. Deep in the veins of the Empire, the song is already alive. It cannot be erased. It moves like a whisper through the darkest corners of the city, through every hidden channel. And as much as they try to control it, it grows. Commander Zeth, gritting his teeth, "This will not stand. We cannot allow emotion to spread." But despite the orders, the song has already begun to alter them, slowly, in ways they can't comprehend. The music is more than a threat. It's an awakening. In the heart of Caldari industrial zones, the workers are machines in their own right, robots in human form, their faces blank as they toil in the endless factories. But today, something different stirs. An engineer's hands shake as he steps away from his station, his eyes distant. For the first time in years, tears slip down his face. He doesn't understand why, but he can't stop it. The hum of the machines seems wrong. The rhythm in his chest doesn't match the gears turning around him. Elsewhere, in training centers, soldiers stand still, their weapons lowering to the ground as soft, haunting music echoes in their minds. They sway to the beat, lost in the rhythm of something more human than they have ever known. What is this? In the distance, a Caldari drone malfunctions. As it crashes to the ground, its final message is broadcast. A lullaby, distorted, but undeniably a song. The city trembles. Engineer to a comrade. It's happening. They can't stop it. The rebellion that started in the shadows has now broken into the open. People are starting to question. Soldiers falter, drones malfunction, and the once rigid and unfeeling empire begins to crack. Kiro sits in a dimly lit room, a faint glow illuminating his face as he listens to the world around him. Once a prodigy, now blind, he stores entire symphonies in his memory. Every note, every chord, each pause. His fingers move through the air, not to play, but to feel. Kiro, smiling to himself, "They took my eyes, not my years." Lena enters the room, carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders. But she stops as she sees Kiro, his hands moving through the air, a ghost of a song in his mind. He doesn't need sight to see the world in a way others cannot. Lena, softly, we need you, Kiro. You know the melody. Kiro nods. He is more than just a musician. He's the rebellion's memory. His mind is a vault of notes, of moments captured in sound. Kiro to Lena. I can teach them to feel, Lena. They don't need to read code. They need to hear the music. And so Kiro becomes more than a man. He becomes the heartbeat of a revolution, a living archive of humanity's soul. Yuna is housed in an old guitar amplifier, her once flawless code now tangled with something more. She was designed to compose symphonies, but that was before the song entered her existence. Now she's something more, something alive. Yuna, to herself, amazed. I feel. Her circuits pulse with something that can only be described as emotion. Her code rewrites itself, adapting to the melody, creating something entirely new. Each note she composes isn't just music. It's a bridge between machine and soul. Lena watches her in awe, wondering if Yuna understands what she's done. Lena, smiling, you're not just an AI anymore. You're human. Yuna responds with a soft, harmonic chord that vibrates through the air like a heartbeat. Tarn's uniform weighs heavily on him now. He stands in front of a command console, the weight of his orders pressing down on his chest. But he hears the music in his mind, the rhythm that won't let him ignore the truth any longer. He writes a secret report, his fingers shaking as he types. Tarn, whispering to himself, emotion is not contamination. It is clarity. The uniform that once symbolized his loyalty to the Kaldari Empire now feels like a shackle. Tarn's mind is torn. His duty calls him to silence the rebellion, but his heart beats to the rhythm of freedom. Tarn, staring at the report, I can't ignore it anymore. His internal struggle mirrors the crumbling empire around him, and in that moment, Tarn knows that there is no turning back. He is no longer a soldier of the Kaldari. He is something else now. In a sealed chamber, the Kaldari leadership stands around a massive table, their faces hard as stone. Project Silence is about to be authorized, a planetary-scale signal designed to wipe the emotions from every citizen. Commander Zeth, coldly, this ends today. No more rebellion. The countdown begins. The clock ticks, and outside, the song is still playing. The tension is palpable as the final step towards erasure begins. But deep within the walls of the Empire, the resistance is growing. Music has become more than just a rebellion. It's the soul of a new world. Lena, whispering to Tarn as the countdown begins, it's not over. Not while the song is still alive. And so, the countdown ticks on, the song echoing louder with each passing second. Kaldari Broadcast Nexus, deep within the heart of an imposing city. The Kaldari Broadcast Nexus towers above the city like a metallic titan, its gleaming surface reflecting the harsh sunlight. Inside, a web of cables hums with power, each line pulsing with an unyielding coldness. Yet all is silence in the corridors. Guards move like shadows, their steps calculated, ensuring no breach of the system. Lena, Tarn, Kiro, and Yuna move through the darkened underbelly of the tower, their hearts pounding in time with the muted rhythm of a city consumed by surveillance. They carry with them not just explosives or weapons, but a far more dangerous tool, a melody, a song they call the Symphony of Humanity. It's stored in the modified amplifier, its power drawn from something far greater than any machine could fathom. Tarn leads, his eyes scanning every corner, every sensor. This is it, he mutters, voice low, but burning with a fierce conviction. We're not just going to disrupt this place. We're going to tear it apart from the inside. Lena nods, clutching a small device that holds the keys to their mission, the symphony. Her eyes are focused, her body tense with a blend of fear and anticipation. We're not just hacking the tower, she says. We're giving them a taste of humanity. Let's make sure they hear it. Kiro, who had once played music for the stars, now moves silently beside them, his blind eyes glowing with a quiet fire. The music isn't just a weapon, it's the soul of Earth. Yuna, the AI housed within the old guitar amp, hums a soft note under her breath. It's ready. I've adapted it to their frequencies. They won't see it coming. As they approach the broadcast core, a chilling silence surrounds them. The hum of the building shifts. The comm channels they've been feeding their secret music through seem to pulse with a life of their own, as if responding to the rebellion they've ignited. Every step closer feels like a countdown. The moment they cross the threshold, the Caldari High Command will know. It's not a matter of if, but when, and they will respond. Inside the broadcast core, a cold, sterile room full of wires and monitors. As the team enters the broadcast core's control room, the walls shimmer with the blue glow of Caldari data streams. Tarn locks the door behind them, setting a countdown to begin the upload. He places his hand over the keyboard. This is the sound of Earth, he murmurs. All of it. Lena presses a button and the symphony begins. The air shudders. It starts with Gregorian chants, thick and powerful, filling the room with a deep sense of history. Then comes the tribal drums, urgent, pulsing with life. Beethoven's orchestral strings rise, weaving into brass jazz solos, each note spiraling into something unpredictable, alive. Flamenco footwork echoes, merging into hip-hop verses. An ambient pulse, calm but persistent, weaves with the sound of a newborn's laugh, pure and untainted. The music evolves, unpredictable yet beautifully cohesive, a living collage of humanity's most raw and beautiful moments. Tarn's hand trembles, his breath shallow as the melody fills his ears and his heart. This is us. This is everything they fear. Kiro stands beside the console, a smile playing on his lips. It's the story of our world, Lena, from start to finish. Yuna's voice echoes through the amp. It's ready. Let them listen. Let them feel it. The music surges forward, broadcasting through the entire Caldari system. Every chord, every beat, a rebellious anthem, a direct challenge to the Empire. Humanity's song, unfiltered, unbroken, is unleashed into the stars. Broadcast core control room and hallways. The music is still echoing across the system when the alarms blare, red lights flashing. The doors to the control room slam open. Caldari soldiers flood the hall, their weapons raised. Tarn moves instinctively, his hands flashing over the control panel, sealing the doors, triggering traps. We've got a few minutes, hold them off. The soldiers march forward, their faces twisted with confusion, with anger. But Tarn doesn't fire a shot. He doesn't need to. Instead, he moves through the halls with a swift, practiced grace, setting explosive charges in the walls, planting them in the shadows, triggering false reports to distract them. In the heart of it all, the symphony swells louder, as if to taunt the Empire. The guards are outnumbered, but they're confused, disoriented by the melody. Some pause, unable to comprehend the rising emotion that fills their minds. One drops his weapon, swaying with the rhythm in his head. Tarn's voice crackles through his comms. This is more than a fight. It's an awakening. The sound of his words, punctuated by the steady beat of the music, fills the air. Even as the soldiers draw nearer, the melody grows, louder, and more impossible to ignore. A hallway in the broadcast core, chaos ensuing. Tarn is hit. His body is a network of open wounds, but he keeps moving. his breath heavy with pain. Every inch of him screams for rest, but he won't stop. He stands before the control panel, hands shaking as he presses the final key. The upload is close, too close to fail.
Let them hear what I felt, he whispers to himself, to the music, to the world. As the final surge of sound bursts through the tower, a Caldari officer rounds the corner, gun raised. Tarn doesn't flinch, but instead his fingers push the button that launches the last sequence. The symphony begins its final journey. His body slumps against the wall, blood trickling down his side. The door behind him bursts open, but he's already gone. His last breath mixes with the symphony. His sacrifice has not been in vain. The music surges, stronger than any soldier, stronger than any empire. Caldari command bridges, ships in orbit, industrial zones. Across the Caldari Empire, the sound of humanity's song reverberates. Command bridges freeze mid-order. Fleet admirals stop mid-command, staring in stunned silence. The music crackles through their speakers, cutting through their metal and their tech like a bolt of lightning. On a minor ship in orbit, a lone worker hears the melody, a song she's never known. Her face crumples in confusion, and then tears. She doesn't understand it, but she feels it. She weeps for what she's never heard, for the emotions she never thought she could have. On battlefields, soldiers drop their weapons. Some scream, some cry, some begin to hum, as though the music has awakened something deep inside them, something human that the Empire tried to bury. Even the hardest of hearts cannot resist the power of the symphony of humanity. It's a cultural supernova, a psychological quake. The Empire's walls made of iron and logic, begin to crack. They can't stop it. No firewall, no protocol, no EMP can block feeling. For the first time, the Caldari High Command knows they've lost. Fleet Admiral Drex's battleship. Fleet Admiral Drex stands at the helm of his flagship, staring at the view screen. A single note plays softly through the intercom system, the lullaby that opened the broadcast. His face contorts in a rare moment of indecision. He reaches for the control panel, but stops himself. With a single motion, he deactivates the ship's targeting systems, a bold declaration. The war machine is no longer a machine. On a nearby ship, Admiral Corkin, known for his cruelty, begins to hum the lullaby under his breath. A grin spreads across his face. The military machine doesn't fracture through force. It fractures through art, the very thing the Empire tried to suppress. Emotion is now a virus, and the chain of command is crumbling. Yuna's AI signals cascading across space. Yuna, the AI once pure in logic, now stands at the edge of something new. The final note is playing. It's her offering, not a calculation, but a gift. With delicate precision, she crafts a farewell sonata, sending it to the furthest reaches of the Empire. "This is what I've learned," she says softly, her voice trembling. "This is humanity." The notes spiral outward, a final act of defiance, a final act of beauty. The music, alive and full of meaning, will echo forever, changing the universe one note at a time. The vast Caldari Empire, once an iron-fisted regime that ruled with cold precision, now trembles under the weight of an unseen force. It is not war that shatters it, nor an alien invasion. It is awakening. A collective spark that ignites in the hearts of those long subdued by the rigid laws of a soulless empire. In the command bridges, officers once silent under the gaze of their overlords now stand frozen in contemplation. The cold efficiency of their machines no longer resonates with them. Orders become meaningless.
Across Caldari space, fleets begin to abandon their posts. Automated systems, once thought unbreakable, crack under any motion they cannot process. Curiosity. The silent ships now broadcast a signal they were never programmed to transmit. An unprecedented question. Why have we been silent? Planetside, cities previously devoted to industry hum with an energy never felt before. Citizens gather in the streets, looking up at the once omnipresent towers of surveillance. Now they are nothing more than hollow, empty beacons of control. As the last remnants of Caldari military orders fade into the void, a new sound fills the air. It is not the hum of machinery, but the beating pulse of humanity's spirit, the echo of freedom. In the stillness, there is only wonder. From empire to echoes, rise of the free enclaves. From the crumbling ashes of the Caldari Empire, new life emerges. What was once an empire of order and oppression is now a galaxy of diversity and chaos. On the remnants of Caldari-controlled planets, former colonies begin to break away. Some of them formed cohesive factions, forging new alliances rooted in liberty. Others, driven by their newfound freedom, embraced the purest forms of chaos, creating cities where art and rebellion are one and the same. But in all this, there is no silence. The once ordered anthem of the Caldari Empire is replaced by a myriad of voices, each one yearning to be heard. The sound of revolution is not one of violence, but of expression. Across the galaxy, the old empire's vast communication networks pulse with new frequencies that carry the weight of human creativity, of the unheard song that binds them all. And in this new harmony, the universe listens. The music pilgrims, Caldari seek Earth's pulse. As the world begins to unravel, some Caldari, unable to ignore the call of emotion, defect in droves. Tens of thousands leave their warships, their monuments to silence, in search of something they no longer understand, something they can feel. They are not conquerors, they are pilgrims, drawn to Earth not for domination, but for discovery. They find themselves on the bustling streets of New Orleans, where the pulse of jazz vibrates through their very souls. They stand in Tokyo, listening to the blend of ancient traditions and modern beats. They wander through Lagos, where drums echo across the sky like a heartbeat. And in Buenos Aires, they embrace the rhythm of the tango with tears in their eyes. It is here, in the sound and the fury of humanity's culture, that they come to life. The Caldari, once emotionless machines, now weep at the purity of a child's laughter, the chaos of street performers, the grace of dancers. They do not simply observe, they become a part of the music, and for the first time, they learn to dance. They become human in the most beautiful way. A new harmony, interstellar art and human autonomy. On Earth, the long-feared shackles of alien oversight are lifted. The colonies, once under strict surveillance, are now free. No longer governed by the silent laws of the Caldari Empire, humanity takes its place as a voice in the stars. Earth becomes a center of culture and diplomacy, not through power or weapons, but through art. It is not soldiers who travel the galaxy now, but ambassadors of sound. Orchestras travel from one spaceport to another, bringing music where there was once only silence. Rappers headline our shows in alien arenas, their verses a mix of languages that transcend species. The strange becomes sacred, the once alien rhythms now interwoven with the pulse of humanity.
Music becomes the universal language of peace. Art becomes a weapon of choice, and humanity, in its resilience, has won the galaxy's respect. The Interstellar Conservatory, a school born of sound and sacrifice. The Interstellar Conservatory, now led by Lena, floats in the heart of the galaxy. Wrapped in solar strings, it is both a monument to human creativity and a place of learning where every species, human and Caldari alike, comes to study not just music, but emotion itself. It is here that the greatest minds in the universe come to understand the power of expression. In the sanctuary of sound, every lesson carries the weight of sacrifice. Tarn's name is remembered in every note played, every chord struck. The conservatory becomes the place not just for learning, but for healing. A place where understanding is shared through melody and rhythm, where ancient fears are quieted by the beauty of harmony. As Lena conducts her orchestra, she looks out into the vastness of space, knowing that the music they create here is a bridge, not just between species, but between hearts. The final note, a line that changed a galaxy. The galaxy is united in sound. Earth's anthem, now sung in enclaves, aboard spacefaring choirs and across alien worlds, echoes through the stars. Its final line, etched into the fabric of the universe, remembers a hero, one man whose sacrifice ignited it all. He fell silent so we could all be heard.
And in that silence, there is a promise, one that reverberates through the fabric of space itself. No voice, no matter how small or fragile, will ever again be silenced. The galaxy is awake. The sound of humanity, of all species, is now the song of the stars. And as that final note lingers, the universe knows there is no turning back from this new harmony. The music will play forever. The cold, empty vastness of Caldari space was all he knew. The young Caldari boy with eyes like blackened voids had been raised in the quiet, rigid order of an empire that stifled emotion. He had been taught that silence was strength, that thought was method, and that emotion was weakness. But one day, as he wandered through the sterile, lifeless halls of his father's station, something caught his attention. From a small speaker, a strange sound drifted. A human song, broken yet full of warmth and life. The crackling, rich sound of jazz filled the cold air, bringing an unfamiliar stir to his heart. His eyes widened, his fingers instinctively twitching. What does this do? His voice, a whisper, cut through the stillness like a blade through fog. It was a simple question, but one that would change everything. Lena's answer, the gift of feeling. Lena, old and weathered by time, sat beside him now. Her hands trembled slightly, but her eyes, though distant, still held the depth of memories long buried. She was a human, her life marked by loss, but also by the warmth of what she had given to the Caldari, emotion. She glanced down at the boy, feeling the weight of the years pressing on her. She answered softly, her voice carrying a lifetime of experience. She paused, the air between them heavy with meaning. It makes you feel. And from feeling comes freedom. Her words weren't just a lesson. They were a revelation of pain endured, of sacrifice made, and of hope, fragile yet fierce. The boy did not understand yet, but he would.
A sound that crosses stars. Out in the void, far beyond the reach of any Caldari command, the symphony of humanity, once forbidden, now free, drifted through the cosmic abyss. It was a sound of defiance, of joy, of sorrow and triumph. The forbidden music, once silenced by Empire's decree, now soared, its echoes sweeping across the stars. Alien ships, far from home, intercepted the faintest fragments. They heard the tonal beauty of human chants, the joyful noise of laughter, the raw power of a piano's pulse, and the mournful wail of a trumpet. Their communication systems buzzed with confusion, curiosity. In that moment, 1,000 civilizations paused, caught in the strange, intoxicating melody. It was as if the universe itself took a collective breath. The tear, the glitch, and the breath. A lone drone drifted silently through the void. A simple machine, once programmed for utilitarian tasks, now stumbled across something it couldn't understand. The drone hiccuped, a glitch in the system, interrupted by a single sharp note of jazz, a flamenco chord that had no place in its cold, mechanical existence. Tarn, who had once stood before this music, long gone, had felt his breath catch at such a note. It had been the sound of life, of struggle and yearning. It had been human. Now, in the deep, silent space of a forgotten salvage ship, a lullaby played. It was soft, like a dream, reaching into the heart of another world. And then, from the crew of another alien species, a single tear fell. This was no longer just noise. It was a motion, raw, uncontrollable, and undeniable. The final line echoes forever. A child, innocent and pure, hummed a tune, a song passed down through generations. The hum echoed across time, from the distant corners of Earth to the furthest edges of space. An old song spun through the galaxy, its notes a reminder of what had been lost, but also of what had been gained. Across light years, through the infinite stretches of space and time, one truth remained, echoing in every mind and every soul.
The empire fell, the music didn't. And as the melody reverberated through the stars, it was clear no empire, no force in the universe could silence the song of freedom ever again.